Hey everyone, it's been 7 months since the National Association of REALTORS came out and completely changed the way that we had done business. And so I wanted to give you guys an update on what has happened in the last 7 months since this new law. So let's dive right into it. Hi, I'm Juan Weezar, president of Sage Real Estate, and our channel is dedicated to teaching people how to build wealth through apartment ownership. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Now let's dive into it. So there's a couple things. In the past, when I would be hired by a seller, I would sit down with the seller, I would negotiate the commission. In some cases, I would say, hey, it's gonna be 6%. That'll be 3% for me on the listing side, 3% for the buyer's agent. So I would be negotiating the commission for the buyer's agent. And that fee fluctuated. You know, it could be 5% where you're taking 2.5%, then you're paying out 2.5%, adds up to 5. Sometimes in the world of real estate, the larger the listing, so once you get to a multi-million-dollar listing, that could even go down to 4%, where the listing agent, me, would do 2% and I'm negotiating the other 2. Well, they took out the negotiation for the buyer's agent, meaning when I sit down with a seller, I now could only negotiate the listing side, okay? So that part's still the same. And this was supposed to completely disrupt our industry. This was supposed to make it where the buyer pays the buyer's agent commission. That is what was supposed to happen. I'm gonna tell you what really happened. And the concept was good, but like typical things that our politicians pass, they fall flat on their face, okay? That's just a fact. The reality is 7 months later, absolutely nothing has changed. What I did is I went and we interviewed multiple escrow companies. And an escrow company sees the transaction coming in. An escrow company sees the listing agent getting paid and who pays the buyer's agent. And in every single case, every single interview across the board, 100% of the time, the seller was still paying the buyer's commission. Let me repeat that. 100% of the time, the seller was still paying the buyer's agent commission. So folks, what does that mean? Absolutely nothing has changed. You might wonder, okay, well, why does this even matter? A couple things. I still get calls from sellers who say, hey, I heard about this lawsuit. I'm glad that I only have to pay you. True. That first contract is only a contract with me. But what ends up happening is we market the property, we're gonna get offers, and every single buyer's agent is saying, I want my compensation. So now they're negotiating with the seller. Now, I guess someone could say, okay, is the seller paying less commission now? That I don't have all that data, and I would probably say the seller is probably paying a slightly less commission in some cases, slightly. But in most cases, the seller is still paying the buyer's commission. Another thing that I tried to do to give us more data, more intel for this specific video, is when I list a property on the multiple listing service, that's the website where we pay to be associate members of this website. This is where we input the property that we're gonna sell. That's where I market the property, okay? When I'm done selling that property, and in my case, it's mostly apartment buildings, I'm supposed to change it from when it's active to when it's in escrow to when I close it. Now, when I go to close, it says, who paid the buyer's agent commission? You're supposed to put it on there. Now, we looked there because we were hoping to see that in most cases, the seller continued to pay the buyer's commission. And what we ended up finding is that the data was inconclusive. Why? A couple things. Either agents are lazy and they're not being complete and filling this in. The agent's assistants rush it and aren't very detailed. But several things that you're supposed to include when you close a property is, were there any concessions paid for repairs? Was there any concessions paid for the buyer's lending fees? and it says was there a commission paid to the buyer? Now, the reason why I'm telling you it's inconclusive is that now we're trying to trust the agents, the listing agents. Now, it's easy to close out the transaction, leave that blank, and now we look at it and say, aha, in this situation, the buyer's agent was compensated by the buyer, but that data is inconclusive because I don't think that people are being detailed or being thorough. So that's a problem. But where it's not a problem is escrow, because escrow knows. Escrow definitely knows. And so what I wanted you to know is if you are a seller, don't go into this thinking that you're not going to be paying the buyer's agent commission. You are. You have the chance to say no. I want you to know that. You do have the chance to say no. But who's going to compensate them? The buyer? The buyers are not really compensating them. I know that the headlines tell us that, but I'm telling you, based on thousands and thousands of escrow transactions since the last 7 months, close to 100%, the seller's still paying that fee. Most times, if you're a seller, you should want to pay that fee. That's how you're incentivizing the agent to help push that transaction along. There are 30 negotiations that take place. This is a very time is of the essence transaction. Every transaction is. There are calls, literally, I'm going to say 24/7 because you're on the phone nonstop. And so now for buyers, I'm fortunate enough that there's a lot of investors that want to work with us. They want us to represent them. And they say, what is your fee? I saw the headlines. What is your fee? What do I have to pay you? And I tell them this, we're going to have an agreement, because we're required to have an agreement with you, that's going to say that if the seller doesn't pay us, you're going to agree to this amount. And I tell them, no buyer has had to pay me a commission. Why? Because in every situation, personally, we've been compensated by the seller. And so, has anything changed? Not at all. Buyers, there would have to be like a 1% chance that you'd be paying for it. And in some cases you might want to, but what I'm telling you is that in most cases you don't. So there you have it. I'm going to continue following this. This matters to me. You know, this law got passed to change or disrupt our business. And I'm telling you that nothing resulted from it because it's still business as usual. Are there additional forms we have to sign? Yep, there's additional forms we have to sign. But has any major change shifted? Not at all. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, if you enjoy my channel, I'm going to ask you a couple things. February 27th, I'm putting on a live event, Multifamily Investor Summit here in Long Beach, beautiful city of Long Beach. Come, network, learn, meet and greet, not just me, but a lot of people that are part of our community, and be surrounded, be inspired, come learn. See you there.